Hey everyone, Dan here. We are during Power Hour on Monday, March 22nd. Wanted to take a look at a few stocks we've been tracking, see how they're faring, and what we might look for in the coming days ahead. Before we get started, if you enjoy these videos, please hit the like and subscribe button. It helps a lot. And let's get right into it. So SUNW, we had put out a video for probably a couple weeks ago at this point, and it had a push downward today, but has actually recovered quite well and is now back retesting this zone that we had drawn in that original video of 1422-ish. It looks like it's really hard to tell when the prices are right on top of each other, but if we sort of like take things maybe out back a little further, this is from our initial video here, and you see sort of, the price just hasn't been able to get above. There's a lot of topping out here at this 1659 level. It stretches all the way back here, and even if you wanted to include these. And so it's just having a really hard time breaking through there and establishing up toward this mid-17s level. But this is the 1 hour chart. What may be developing here that I think we should keep an eye on, which would be a good sign for sort of people looking to trade, and sort of having some predictability in the price, would be if it can maintain this channel. The other good thing about this would be that right now it is definitely on the bottom half of the channel, getting very, very close to the very bottom of the channel. So I think a couple of things will happen. One, we will sort of get confirmation or not confirmation whether this channel is going to hold in the very near future. And additionally, we will be able to get like a bottom of the channel buying opportunity in this box if it does hold the channel. Those would give us really good entry points, and then we could ride it up, and hopefully this would get us back into the 20s, which would be really great to see. But this channel, even on the lower end, would push us up over those highs that we noticed. It would break us out of there sort of on April 1st-ish. So that could be a good April Fool's joke for SUNW. That would be no joke. But, if you look at and you draw us back to February, this is actually in like a longer term downtrend here. So, there's that to consider, obviously. But that's where if there is some holding to this channel, the other thing to realize is right where this green box is and where that blue line hits the purple line here, that's actually where this downtrend would meet this new uptrend. And that's where it would potentially flag out and push us upward or draw us further down. So that's what I'd be looking for from SUNW. I'll leave these on the chart so we can refer back to them again later. I'll just clean that up a little bit. Cool. So we're going to flag out soon. All right. It'll give us some information. GME. So GameStop immediately came down this morning into my bearish price zone for the week and has tried to establish itself back off of that and get some push going. It's having a hard time. I'm sure there's a lot of things happening with earnings coming up. I think earnings are reported tomorrow. I'm sure people are sort of speculating whether or not that's going to just bring additional attention to GameStop and it's going to rally again, or if people are going to be like, holy smokes, this has gotten so out of control, and the reality to stock price in this one is just insane, and a bunch of people are going to sell off. So obviously we'll see what happens here very shortly, but this is essentially what AMC did today, where it came directly down into the bearish zone for the week, but it's done a better job pushing off, where GameStop hasn't been able to sort of like really establish itself any momentum coming out of that box. And that's where it spent last week as well. It finished in this bearish zone. So, definitely a lot of selling pressure in GameStop right now. And it's going to need to find some footing on all of the support that it has. It's fine to have support, and that's sort of what's given me a lot of confidence in the stock, is this giant cushion of support that it has. But the other reality is it can fall through all of those levels of support. Just because it hasn't doesn't mean that it can't breach them. And, you know, it still has to show some momentum. I thought maybe it was going to show some last week with this blue trend line here, and that would put it flagging out over here in the 225 area, but it's now broken, you know, below that. And so it's kind of nothing lately but downward pressure for GME. I mean, I know it hasn't had like a huge sell-off, which people have been fearing, but it's only been showing strength in the sense of like it hasn't had a huge sell-off. It hasn't been showing strength in the sense of like really strong upward momentum. So just keep that in mind as you're playing this one and trying to figure out sort of where people are placing their bets and where the volume is coming in. FCEL, which we haven't looked at in a while, but we did an analysis on a few weeks ago. FCEL is, let's look at the 5-day, 5-minute to sort of recalculate here. But, you know, FCEL has like this yellow zone that it constantly sort of like comes swooping back to. So I wouldn't be surprised if we see ourselves establishing back up there, so near 16 again, and kind of having a hard time getting too far above or too far below and not just coming back into that zone. But, you know, it did spend quite a bit of time below this 1496, which we had identified before as like a potential cut loss if you wanted to think of it that way. And so there's, you know, with this one also not a tremendous amount of buying pressure, you know, if we look back to February. So it is also in this situation where it's in this like longer term kind of push down. And it's in the shorter term here trying to recover and get itself going a little bit. So, you know, I would say where these two are about to intersect, you know, we might see ourselves some sort of flagging out in early on tomorrow by, well, I guess that's by about midday tomorrow. We could see some flagging out one way or another, but it'll be interesting to see what happens when those points meet. And it might even spread into Wednesday. So we'll see, but you know, keep in mind with FCEL, I think there's a couple of things at play. One, there is this longer term selling pressure that it's trying to shake off, but there's also a ton of upside in this one, I believe. And you know, if we look back a little bit, sorry, I'm real thorny with the old clicker here today. With the trackpad. I really sounded like my grandfather there, the old clicker. But no, if you look at the potential, I mean, this is, you know, nearly $30, and now we are at half that. So, I mean, I know that that's not to say that was necessarily the correct level for it to be at that $30, or even that it'll get back there. But it's, you know, one potential factor to consider when you're looking at the potential upside versus basically your risk to reward ratio with this one. And also knowing that it should be flagging out here very soon, you know, that'll give us sort of our next best indication of what's going to happen with FCEL. And if it has the potential to sort of try to push toward those recent highs again, or if it's going to fall back through and maybe kind of settle itself, you know, in this kind of range where it spent a lot of time previously in the $9, $10 range. So we shall see, but you know, good luck if you're in any of these plays, or if you get in them, or just in general with your trading this week. I definitely wish everyone the best, and please leave comments below if you have your own ideas or questions. Those things help everyone, and I will see you all in the next video.